Ish.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome in to another episode of Expected Bets for your go-to podcast for all things hockey betting. Today, we are joined, as usual, by my two co-hosts, Gretzky Betskis and Franco the Banker. Guys, how we doing today? It feels like we kind of have a fairly regular schedule this week. I think it's 8 games tonight, 7 tomorrow, and then I think it kind of stays around that 8 or 7 game range this week. I don't know if they were listening or whatnot, but it seems a little bit manageable this week with the NHL slate instead of the 16, 14 games that you're trying to piece through each game looking for a prop or so.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited for some just consistent slates that have a good amount of games that dip into, still enough games where you don't feel bad about just completely skipping on one or two, and I like it.
Yeah, for sure. Franco, how we doing out there in Philly? You went to an unbelievable game the other night. Philly wins, 7-5 against Minnesota. That looked unbelievable.
It was just a fun game. I mean, it was had a little bit of everything. There was some arguing going on. TK and Foligno were getting into it, which was pretty funny to watch, and seeing them yelling between the benches was pretty cool. But yeah, great game. Couturier got a hat trick, so I got to see all the hats rain down from the stands and stuff. So it was cool seeing the old man get a hattie. Was not something I was expecting, that's for sure. And a win against Minnesota, who's been pretty damn good this year, is impressive by them. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say Minnesota was off to a pretty nice start this season, but we do have 8 games for tonight. It's probably going to take us a little bit to get through those, so let's jump into that now. First game up, we have the Panthers taking on the Sabres. The Sabres are plus 130 on the money line. Panthers, road favorites, minus 155. Total is set at 6, juiced to the over at minus 118. On DraftKings, these teams did face off earlier this season, with the Sabres coming away victorious 5-2, but Barkov and Tkachuk were not in the lineup. I think that was the first or second game that those two were out, so wasn't exactly the Panthers team that we're going to see tonight. Barkov is back in the lineup. Tkachuk has been back for the past few games. UPL is going to get the nod for the Sabres, and Bobrovsky is going to go for the Panthers. Bobrovsky hasn't been great to start the season, so it is going to be interesting to see if he does settle in these next few games. Betsky, I will start with you in this one. Any plays for you?
Yeah, I think this is a good game for siding with the over. I think there's a good shot that both these offenses start firing tonight. Like you mentioned, Bobrovsky hasn't been the best. We know Buffalo can be very leaky at times as well. And then there's, the fact that half of the Panthers used to be on Buffalo, so very familiar. And it seems like those guys like to show up. So obviously the Evan Rodriguez shots on goal, it looks fantastic again. If he can get his point somewhere, I don't think they were listing his point, but maybe that changed now that Barkov is back and he's solidified on the top line. But his shot at 2 and 3 looks good. Reinhart point looks really good. He has a really strong history against Buffalo as well, which means you could use his point as a parlay, or I think Barkov assist looks really good if you're willing to take the risk of him being 100% or not. That's around minus 120-ish, and you're not going to find a price. Well, actually, I thought I saw it as plus money on FanDuel. So depending on the book, let me check the DraftKings as well, but I think you're getting a really nice price on his assist right now. He hasn't played many games. Jump on it while you can.
Yeah, there's a few props tonight that kind of have a lot of value. It looks like in this slate overall, Betsky, we were talking before the show even started saying how fairly priced every prop looked tonight,
Yeah.
which also made us a little bit hesitant because you normally when you have a guy who's hitting 5 of 6 or is hitting even 6 of 7 versus an opponent, that price is going to go to -150, -160. Tonight, you're looking at a -115 to -135 range. So it could be a weird night. I am a little bit hesitant on that, but before I go into my props, Franco, who did you like in tonight's game between the Panthers and the Sabres?
Yeah, I mean it's Evan Rodriguez day. I posted it
Yeah.
earlier today. Very excited, and I mean I could not believe the prices either. I looked back at the game earlier this year when they played together or against them, and I had backed Rodriguez as well in that game, and his 3 shots was like +110 or so, I believe, and his 4 shots was like +300 or so. Tonight we're getting 3 shots at +190 and 4 shots at +500, which is ridiculous. So hopped on both of those. Of course, I also grabbed Rodriguez and Stammer to get 2 shots because I think the 2 shots for Rodriguez is a fantastic parlay piece. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Stamkos revenge narrative when we get to that game, but each of them to get 2 is -105, which I just think feels pretty damn nice given the scenario and all that stuff. Um, and if you can, I don't mind. I know Betsky mentioned the Reinhardt point. You could also use that as your parlay piece for the Rodriguez 2 shots. So,
Yeah.
their point and Rodriguez 2 shots is going to get you right around even money as well. So, lots of options here. Good pricing. I do like Reinhardt assist as well. That comes in at +135, which is real nice. He is recorded a point in most of the games he's played against the Sabres in the past. But I look back and we know Reinhardt as a goal scorer at least in the last year and a half, and it's been mostly assists against his former team, not goals. So I thought that was kind of interesting there. So I feel like it's Panthers props mainly for me. I know there's some value on the Sabres props if you can find the right one, but I don't really want to be involved there. I thought it was interesting. Both teams have been playing pretty well recently. Sabres on a 3-game win streak, so not on a side or total or anything, but mainly those props I listed.
Yeah, there's a few on the Sabre side that stand out. Owen Power, you're getting incredible value on for his point prop tonight, +175 at DraftKings. He's hitting each of his last 4, hitting 3 of 5 versus Florida, and is hitting 3 of his last 5 at home. I know he's not on that top unit, but he is on that second power play line, and he's really just become so much more offensive. I don't know if it's whether his confidence or is growing or what's going on, but he's jumping into the play much more than he has in the past few games than he did to start the season off. So that's another look I like. And then Alex Tuck over 2.5 shots on goal. Barkov coming back does worry me a little bit because he is kind of that defensive center. We saw what he did to McDavid in the postseason last year in the Stanley Cup Finals, but I still think Tuck can get 2. He's hitting 6 of his last 7, 7 of his last 8 versus Florida, and he's also hit in each of his last 4 at home. And you're getting that at -115 on DraftKings right now. So for that price, I'm willing to lay it, just given his history against everything. Betsky, you made a point, I believe, on Twitter today. Anton Lundell point is at -115 tonight, but with Barkov coming back, that line is shifted. So do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, he's been playing on the top line, which means he was playing with Reinhardt and Lusteranian for the past 2 weeks or so, and his point was fantastic. I mean, you were getting that right around -120 to close to even money, depending on the matchup. But now that he's down on the third line, I just, and on the second power play, more importantly, I just don't want to ride that anymore. What I would love to see is that this has now helped his confidence, and Florida gets even more depth scoring. And he is a prop that's kind of like a Matthias Michelli on Utah, who, while he plays on the third line, he's getting 60 points. His points are well distributed. So kind of hitting 60% of the season, and you're getting it around even money. So last year, it never felt like Lundell was an easy one to target. You would have to kind of pick your poison essentially. And and hope that you kind of got it right and jumped on a good game for him. It would be nice if he was more one of those guys you could kind of turn to, especially in more favorable matchups throughout the season.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. I saw a bunch of people on him tonight. And obviously with Barkov coming back into the lineup, that does kind of throw a wrinkle into things because he has been such a consistent force, hitting in 7 of his last 10. And it does have a great history against the Sabres too, hitting in 5 of his last 8, and has been a road dog, hitting in 4 of his last 4 away from home. So those are Franco,
also just to point out, I mean, he has 6 goals in 12 games against them as well. So
wow,
that kind of shows he's like making it his own way. If it was more assists, then I'd be a little bit more worried. But I was kind of I had him circled, and then was maybe thinking about the under because of the line shift. But seeing him scoring 6 goals in 12 games against them makes me just kind of want to stay off in general. But I could still make an argument for him to be able to score a point. I mean, I know he's going to be on the third line, but he has had production in the past, and usually he is on the lower lines for this team. So just something to consider there.
Yeah. Was anyone on Sam Bennett
real quick
tonight?
I'm sorry to bring this. It looks like Florida has somebody new in from defense or on defense, unless I missed it last game. Uvis
Balinskis. Yeah, he's played a couple times. He's played a couple times.
He's on the top power play unit.
Yeah, Adam Boquist was scratched today. I saw. I didn't know if it was injury related, but that's why he's in.
Yeah, he's listed in the last 3 games lineup. So, all right. Oh yeah, Sam Bennett over half a point. Is anyone on him tonight or no?
I'm not, but I could see it. He doesn't have the best history against them. 5 points in his last 10, but I
feel like he's had to do a lot of heavy lifting lately too. So I don't know. I could be reading this totally
8 of his
wrong.
last 10, hitting 3 of his last 5 versus Buffalo, and 4 of his last 5 on the road. So I wasn't sure. It's at -115 tonight. Pretty fairly priced as well. So wasn't sure.
Definitely don't mind it if you want to go for it.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Next game up on the slate, we have the Edmonton Oilers traveling to Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets. The Blue Jackets are the home dog in this one at +200. Edmonton Oilers -245. Total set at 6.5. Juice to the over at -125. Franco, I'm going to start with you in this one. Any looks here?
Oh, sorry, my mute was messing up there. So it feels like Columbus keeps getting these teams on like great situations, right? With like back-to-backs or off a big win and stuff like that. So this is again another situation where Columbus is getting Edmonton off a back-to-back now. There's no way I'm laying any kind of number like that for Edmonton, so I kind of want to be on Columbus side, as far as this goes. It's hard to want to back them. I took them against Nashville this weekend, and similar situation where Nashville is in a bad spot, and they kind of choked it away late, which sucked to see happen because they did have that lead. But the main player I'm looking at here is Marchenko. 3 goals in his last 4 against Edmonton, averaging 3 shots on goal across those games. And he has 2 goals in his last 3 games overall and averaging almost 4 shots a game across that stretch. So I have him circled as just the player I want to target in general, whether it's shots or points or goals. I think you're going to be able to get like great value on him in general. Let's see, his shots is -110 for 3, so that's not too bad. So yeah, I mean, I want to be like heavily involved with him as opposed to kind of backing Columbus on the money line. But if I had to pick a side, it would be Columbus for sure.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, you look at what Columbus has done as of late, like you said before, choked away that game against Nashville, still garnered a point, beat Toronto 6-2, lost to Minnesota 3-1, who's been great to start the season, took down the Sabres 6-4, and then lost to the Panthers by 1 and then beat Colorado. So not exactly a terrible start for this team that didn't really have the highest of expectations coming into this year. Betsky, any looks for you in this one?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting one too. So there's the whole idea of Monahan playing on the top line, being drafted by Calgary. played with his best bud, Johnny Gaudreau, during that time on the Flames. So there may be a little bit of a factor here where he really wants to kind of give it to Edmonton tonight. I think his shots look fantastic. So Edmonton's been tough against shots on goal, but the one position they're a little leaky to is center. That's where Monahan plays. He's plus 130, plus 120, depending on the book for 3. Has hit 3 in a row. 4 out of his last 5. He gets about 5 shot attempts a game. That's kind of like right where I want for the volume. Kind of goes hand in hand with the Marchenko idea too. So if you're really high on Marchenko, Monahan's point looks good too. Minus 125. He has 4 points in the last 5 games. Has fit really well, kind of playing that Boone Jenner role. And then the other guy that stood out for me on the Columbus side is Fantilli, who's finally kind of getting going, especially in the shot department. Again, I'm personally not playing this one. I kind of want to monitor it, but he's plus 120 for his 3 shots. He's hit 4 of the last 5 games. He's averaging about 6.8 shot attempts in those 5 games. And again, Edmonton tough on shots coming on off a back-to-back, and center's the position there the leakiest too. So I may actually be able to convince myself to dive into that Fantilli look too. Right, look at it.
Yeah, no. The one look I had here was Jeff Skinner shots on goal. Doesn't matter which line he seems to play, he continues to hit. He's hitting 7 of his first 9 to start the season, and some great history against.
Yep.
5 of his last 6. And you look at some of those shot attempts in that stretch, just insane. 13, 7, 8, and then 6. So you're getting Jeff Skinner over 2.5 shots on goal tonight at minus 135 against a Columbus team who's historically struggled with giving up shots. I get Edmonton's on a back-to-back, but in the one back-to-back they did play this season already, he hit. So I'm not too concerned about that factor. I think he just continues to roll tonight. And again, at minus 135, especially with that price, I'm willing to lay it all day. So any final looks in Edmonton, Columbus?
No, those are kind of my favorites.
Yeah, next game up, we have the Maple Leafs traveling to Winnipeg. Winnipeg, the only undefeated team left. Kind of crazy when you think about it, especially after what we saw in the postseason last year, and then not really making a ton of changes in the offseason. They are the home dog tonight, minus 108. Toronto's minus 112. Total set at 6, juice the under at minus 118. Betsky, any looks for you in this one? It's gonna be the best game to watch tonight, maybe besides one other in that early slate, but should be a good one.
Yeah, I didn't dabble too much into this points or sides. I kind of like the Maple Leafs. I mean, at some point, Winnipeg's got to lose here. I think the Maple Leafs have been kind of up and down. It's a little bit of a Jekyll and Hyde experience with them, but when they're on, they're a really tough team. They're playing big. They're playing very playoff style hockey in those games, and then they get a little leaky afterwards. But really, the only prop that stood out for me here is Ehlers shots. That's a little bit out of the bettable range, so maybe more of a parlay piece, but it's about minus 140, minus 150, so you still get nice value on it. He's been ripping puck lately, and he has great history against Toronto. Again, Toronto's been tough on shots too, though, so you're kind of having to go with the volume. Hit 4 in his last 5, and then against Toronto, he's hit, again, 4 in his last 5, but averages 7.8 shot attempts against them, where in his last 5 games, he's averaging 4.8, so he clearly likes playing against this team.
Yeah, it's crazy to see Toronto favored in this matchup. It's almost kind of telling because Toronto's lost 3 straight. They're coming off an OT loss to Boston where Matthews, I don't know what he was thinking, giving up that one. But and Winnipeg is still undefeated. So it's a game in terms of a side or total I'm not touching. Franco, I don't know if you echo that statement or if you had kind of a different outlook on this game.
So this is one of those rare, weird spots for the Jets, right? So they just got back from a 3-game road trip to play this one game at home, and then they're going right back on the road to play the Red Wings on Wednesday.
Jeez.
So it's just a terrible spot. when I looked at this last night, I believe Winnipeg was actually favored more heavily. I forget what the number was, but so money's obviously pouring in on Toronto at this point. You can see why. I mean, it's a bad spot and all that. But with that being said, I don't want to lay anything either way because this is that argument I always make. Like I don't want to project or predict the end of the win streak. Like this team's red hot, they're winning just no matter what the situation is. Like there's been games where they've come out flat and still managed to get it done. So I would imagine they get up for this game, being against the Maple Leafs, which are one of the bigger teams in this league. So I'm not going to project this to be the one they lose, even with it being a bad spot. So don't want to be on the sides at all. The only prop I really have circled here, this is a game that I could see being low scoring overall, I think, would be Marner assist, given his history. It's minus 135. He's been pretty damn good recently in general. 3 assists in his last 3, and he has 6 assists in his last 5 against them. So Matthews as well has 6 goals against them in the last 6 games. So I think if anything, like if I'm going to be involved at all in this, I would be, looking at that line to get it done for Toronto. And given the fact that, it seems like the money is coming in on Toronto, obviously, I think you would want to be more heavily invested in Toronto props than Winnipeg props just in general. But I think when all said and done, I'm probably going to leave this game alone completely and just enjoy it.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm approaching it, is enjoy watching it. But with 7 other games on the slate, I think there's value elsewhere. All right, time for the marquee matchup of the night. The Nashville Predators taking on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Steven Stamkos returns to town. The Maple Leafs all-time leader for goals, points, and games played, drafted by them at the first overall pick back in 2008. Nashville's had an interesting start to this season, losing 5 straight, but have turned things around and have won each of their last 3 games. Tampa Bay came out red hot, winning their first 3, but have been unable to sustain back-to-back wins since then, moving their record to 5-3. Forsberg and O'Reilly have been great for Nashville as of late as well. Stamkos only has 1 point through his first 8 games for Nashville. So, should be a good one. Betsky, how are you approaching this game? And how many Stamkos props are you on?
Not many, actually.
Okay.
I did take his goal for the sprinkle. I'm not going to go too heavy on it. You got to expect Tampa to want to shut them down. And right now it's kind of hard to figure out Nashville. I have a feeling they are now kind of turning the corner, that they've built chemistry and pieces are kind of clicking. Those Forsberg shots have been a ride lately, and I'm very tempted to keep on going towards it. He's very streaky. He will put on these runs of hitting 5 times in a row and then kind of become hard to predict. Tampa's pretty tough on shots, though, so that does worry me a little bit. Yossi's shots against Tampa historically have been very good. Kind of a similar situation. He's on one right now, but again, Tampa is just kind of tough to want to be too confident on the shot department. And then obviously Stamkos here. So, I mean, is this going to be one of those things where they're deferring to Stammer on the power play? Is he going to just be completely, draped by Nick Paul all game, or whichever line they send out against him? Is he going to get any time and space? It's hard to say. So, as much as I want to get on some Stamkos props here, I have one that involves his shots just at 3 and 4. It's like a little ladder with 2 other revenge angles. You can probably figure it out. And I have Yossi as part of my power or prize picks entry, because I think you're getting a nice value at 4. You could even take him down to 3, but it is a little bit of a trusting history and trusting his current trend of just ripping right now. Tampa side, I don't know which way to go right now. I think that line with Paul, Hagel, and Cirelli has been really hot. Point-wise, you're getting tons of value on them. I think the big thing that scares me here is on the Nashville side of things, they have a ton to play for right now. They need another win. They probably want to prop Stamkos up right now. And Saros has been bad, but he's an elite goaltender. As the team starts to figure itself out, at some point here, you think it's got to click. So is this going to be kind of the Gensel top line show? Maybe Gensel trying to prove that he's the better version of Stamkos for the team right now? Or is this going to be something where the depth on Tampa is too much for Nashville? A little tough, but again, I like the value on that second line for Tampa.
Yeah, should have thought of that Gensel revenge angle earlier. Trying to figure out who's the better Stamkos, but
girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Kucherov over 1.5 points is -105 tonight. Hasn't been great as of late. Does lead Tampa Bay in scoring, but you wonder how motivated he is for this game as well. If you're kind of looking at that ex-girlfriend revenge angle as well, too, like it's like a messy love triangle.
Yeah. And it's one of those things of like, is he going to feel happy for the guy and not want to? And there's going to be some sort of long tribute video at some point. I don't know if it's going to be at the beginning. Are they retiring his number? You would think they would. Maybe they'll do that in the off season or something.
They won't do that until he retires. It'll be after he retires.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. But yeah, again, and he's great against Nashville. Kucherov is point wise. He's hit the 2 points and then 4 of the last 6. But man, I just don't know. This is one of those ones that I'm more prone to want to sit back and watch.
Stamkos signs the 1-day contract and Kucherov tries to fight him in practice, a non-existent practice, like one of those situations. I did take Stamkos' point tonight. I get there's no he hasn't been great to start the season. I did get it at -145 earlier in the day. Gave that out in my article, so check that out. It's now up to -154. I don't know if I love it at that price. And you have to assume it's going to maybe even creep into that -160 territory. I would be sure to shop around for that prop if you are looking at it. But Franco, any looks for you in this matchup?
So while you guys were talking, I was doing one last bit of research of something I wasn't thinking about until right now, and that's the power play units on both sides, or penalty kill, really. Nashville historically has been a team that takes a ton of penalties. This year has not been the case. They're ranked towards the middle of the pack, I guess, toward penalties taken, but they have the second best power play unit so far in the league with penalty kill percentage. So not something you want to target there. But if you go to the other side, Tampa, they rank 8th most with penalties taken at 3.71, and they are the 30th, meaning the second or third to worst team against the penalty or on the penalty kill, 69%. So given that there's no freaking value at Stamkos at -154 now on DraftKings for a point, the guy has 1 point in 8 games, which is just, I get it, like the name and all that stuff and the situation. It's just I really wanted something better for his point. You can get his power play point at +250, which feels pretty damn nice given the numbers I just laid out for you as far as Tampa Bay's penalty kill being pretty bad and Nashville getting plenty of opportunities in this game, at least in theory. So I like that a lot given the value compared to what we're seeing elsewhere for like just the Stammer straight pop. I'll go for his goal as well. I mean, I really wish we could get us like 3 shots at a bettable number. That's not happening. Obviously, you have to do 4. Everything just seems so juiced to high heavens, and I get it, and this is the situation I love to target, but it's hard to find the value. So that's where I'm looking. I think I'm just going to end up doing the power play point in the goal and just say screw it. I'm going to take the value and see what happens here. Marchessault is another guy that pops against them, at least historically. He has a bunch of goals against them in the past. Was it 5 goals in 6 games? So again, that feeds into this as well, as far as him being on the same line with Stamkos. So like that a little bit. And I do like the Kucherov angle as well, just playing with that extra motivation, kind of trying to say like we don't even need him here anymore at this point. We can do this ourselves. So his 2-point prop is -105 on DraftKings. I like that a lot. I think given his previous performances against Nashville, and Nashville's just overall propensity to give up goals this year. I mean, they haven't been as good as they, we thought they were on paper defensively and in net. They've been giving up goals. Saros hasn't looked that good. I know he's not confirmed yet, but I would assume he's in net tonight. So, and I mean, it's Tampa at home. I just expect Tampa to come out firing, regardless of what, the situation and all the stuff, this other stuff that plays into this game. I mean, Tampa at home with Vasilevsky and net has been a wagon in general. So I think this team's going to come out extra motivated. And I'm looking for the big guys to do it. So I don't mind Hedman as well. Figure out your parlays or whatever to get these guys involved. Hedman, Point, Kucherov will be the three guys on Tampa that I'd be looking at the most, though.
Yeah, Marchessault over half a point, minus 125 on DraftKings. He's hitting 3 of his last 5 and each of his last 4 versus Tampa Bay. So I know you're talking about his gold prop, but his point prop is still reasonably priced as well. Betsky, you did mention that Hagel and Paul props before. Paul point at plus 120 looks pretty good. He's hitting each of his last 5, 2 of his last 4 versus Nashville, and 3 of his last 4 at home. Hegel's at minus 135 for a point, hitting 6 of his last 8, 3 of his last 4 versus Nashville, and each of his last 5 at home. So I do like those looks as well. Any other bets in Nashville, Tampa Bay?
No.
All right. On to Betsky's game of the night. The San Jose Sharks taking on the Utah Hockey Club. The Sharks are still searching for their first win of the season. They are plus 225 on the money line. Utah at minus 278, and the total is at 6, minus 112 to the over. Betsky, this is your team. What are you looking at for tonight?
Yeah, well, Logan Cooley has been put on the top line with Clayton Keller and Dylan Guenther now, which he just got his first goal. So that makes me think that maybe he will kind of start rolling here. The team's looking for an offensive spark, though. I mean, they've only scored, I think it is 3 goals in the past 3 games. They got shut out by the Senators, lost 5-1 to the Colorado Avalanche, and then just lost 2-3 to the Kings. It feels like, weirdly enough, a must-win game for Utah, which worries me. People are going to be gripping sticks too tight, trying too hard to force, the points and goals. So I'm a little concerned. Either that or they're just going to completely roll through the San Jose Sharks because they are hungry for a win and hungry to rack up points. Couple things outside of that Cooley point that really stand out for me. Sergachev has nice volume as of late. He's playing like 26 plus minutes. His time on ice prop on Prize Picks looks great, but on DraftKings, you could go for his 2.5 shots on goal. San Jose's very leaky to defenders. His chart's not the best if you're looking at props.cash or anything, but it's kind of one of those trust the minutes, trust the volume, and trust the opponent situations. I think that's about minus 120. Then Granlund on the Sharks is a Coyotes / Clubbers killer, man. His shots is a thing of beauty against them, and lately he has just been firing away. And then his points as well against this team / franchise. He for whatever reason shows up against them. So he's hit his shots in 4 of the last 6 against this team, averaging about 4.8 shots attempts per game, but he's kind of one of those guys that's low volume, high efficiency. But on the season, he's hit his shots on goal prop 7 out of 9 games played. And then points, he has 9 points in his last 6 games, period. And then 6 points against this team in his last 6. So I don't know. I think you guys pointed this one out to me last season.
What's his point prop tonight at?
Minus 225.
I was going to say, that's insane, though, for a player on the Sharks to have a point prop at minus.
And it's not like, it's not Toffoli. It's
crazy.
It's not Hurdle because Hurdle's not on the team anymore. It's Michael Granlund.
Yeah,
I never get it. Every time I see it, I look at that number and I'm like, what the hell? How is any player on the Sharks minus 200 at all? Like, I don't
9 of his last 10 overall. Yeah, that is fucking crazy.
It's wild.
Did you mention Michelli point?
No, I did not. So he's playing with Schmaltz and Hayton on the second line. And yeah, I think he really wants to get going. I don't know. Does he have good history against the Sharks too?
Very good history. He's sitting each of his last 5 games against them.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. I think he wants to get rolling too. He's been kind of a little up and down this season.
Yeah. I
And
mean, you
yeah,
get that
and
at
I think
plus 105 tonight.
Kraus shots look very good too for one last
Okay.
piece. 1.5 as a parlay piece. He's definitely shooting to score. I think he only has 2 goals this season. He had one against Colorado, but you can kind of tell last year in November he was really, really good. I think he had like 15 goals and had the most goals in the month of November in the entire league. So maybe he's warming up to that, but his volume looks pretty good in his last 5 games. You know, he's one of the assistant captains, or he has some weird title. It's like assistant to the captain of the Utah Hockey Club, like the freaking Dwight title.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's definitely playing big right now. So he may be a good one to ladder up to 3 if you want for something a little bit spicier for shots. That's plus 154, juice down to 2.
Is Clayton Keller in bed with the books? Have you looked at his game log the past, 9 games? He just stops at 3 every game. And his line's 3.5. He refuses to go over that number. I think he's only hit it once this season, but he's hitting pretty much 3 every other game, just 3. And the attempts are there too.
He's always been a 2.5 guy though. So it's like the books don't want to give you that. Yeah.
Okay. So this is more of a protest against the books for bumping him up to 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to protest betted at 3.
I wanted to understand the Clayton Keller dynamic with the books here, but it is insane. Usually, I mean, you'll have like some variance of 0, 1, or 2, and no, he's going to sit on that 3 and say, bump me back down to 2, 2.5. That's crazy. But Franco, any looks in this game?
So my first initial thought here was to take the Sharks. I know it's crazy, right? And kind of Besky laid it out where it's like one of those situations where this is not an ideal spot for Utah here. Kind of having to get a win, not wanting to be that first team that gets the loss against the Sharks. I don't love it or anything like that, but they just have not looked particularly great recently. And obviously this is the team to get right against. So I could also see a game where they just smash them, like you said, but it just feels wrong seeing Utah just given the way they've been playing at minus 278. So we'll see how I'm feeling in a few hours, but I might end up sprinkling the Sharks in some sort of way. The players I had circled, though, I mean, of course, Logan Cooley is a great look, getting bumped up to that top line. That's easy to grab that for sure. But I also had Kraus circled for point and goal prop. I know he's on the third line, second power play unit, so not getting the best type of situations and minutes and stuff like that. But like you're saying, he is firing to score. And he has a decent history against San Jose, 6 goals in 8 games played. Now, I looked a little closer. All those games were played in San Jose that he scored in. He scored every single game he's played against in San Jose and none in Arizona. Now, obviously, we're in a whole different stadium now, so we'll see what that means. But given the value on it and his point being plus 135, I don't mind it. He's playing with guys that have had decent histories as well against San Jose. Alexander Kerfoot actually has 8 points in 6 games against San Jose for some unbeknownst reason. So he's on line with him and Bukestad. So yeah, I don't mind his point. I mean, it's plus 135. It feels good. And like you said, he is kind of one of those like kind of unsung heroes for this team, or leaders for this team. So I think you're getting good value there.
Yeah, I like both those bets as well. All right, moving along to the 10 p.m. slate. We have Carolina traveling to Vancouver. Vancouver is the home dog in this one at plus 110. Carolina minus 130. Total set at 6. Under at minus 115. Any looks in this one? It seems like a kind of a spot to back Vancouver. I know that money line did jump up to plus 115 earlier. I grabbed it. Now it's back down to plus 110. But I want to hear your thoughts first. Franco, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'm looking mainly at Connor Garland props. I think you're getting good value there. He got bumped up to the line with Pedersen. So he's minus 110 for a point. You're usually not getting really good numbers in general with guys playing on that line. Now, given this matchup, you're getting great numbers across the board, kind of. I mean, Pedersen point is minus 140, which seems insane, and Besser as well at minus 140. So I think there's a ton of value on Vancouver props in general, given their history against Carolina and just how they've been playing. I feel like their offense has been really clicking recently, the top two lines specifically. So I can make an argument for all three of those guys given the price on them, but I think Garland's got the best price, just being minus 110. So I like that a lot. Maybe you parlay something like Pedersen um, and Miller, maybe, or something like that, or Pedersen and Besser, and get like a real nice number, given that they're both on the top power play unit. So mainly Vancouver props for me. Another guy I'd circle is Natchez, who's been playing really well for Carolina. 6 points in his last 3 games, averaging over 3 shots per game across that stretch. 3 power play points as well during that stretch, and 4 points in 6 against Vancouver. So pretty decent history overall as well. Minus 145 for his point prop isn't too bad either. There's just a lot of juice to pay for this matchup, in general. So I'll probably only do like 1 or 2 of them overall when everything's said and done. But I just kind of want to point out that there is value depending on which guy you really want to take. You're not usually going to get these types of prices, especially on a guy like Besser and Pedersen.
Yeah, I mean, Pedersen, too, his line at over half a point tonight is minus 140, which is kind of reasonably priced as well. I don't hate that look. So Koshetov's going to get the nod for Carolina tonight. Freddie Anderson has an injury, so he's out. It's not relating to that blood clot issue, but he is out for tonight. Lankinen's going to get the nod for Vancouver, who's been the better goalie of them, too. Koshetov has kind of struggled to start the season compared to Anderson, who's been fantastic. I think he's second or third in the league in goals saved above expected. Koshetov has a .896, save percentage in this one, and he ranks 23rd in goals saved above expected. Lankinen is a plus 2.2 goals saved above expected, which ranks 16th. So I like Vancouver in this spot. But yeah, Pedersen point seems tempting. Ghost point seems tempting at plus 124. He's been great as of late for Carolina. Even Svechnikov, shots on goal. Vancouver is kind of plays it tight with that, so I did stay off that one. But another anytime goal scorer, JT Miller, hitting 3 of his last 4. Has scored each of his last 4 games against Carolina, and is hitting 3 of 5 at home. You're going to get that at plus 185. So if you're looking for a prop in that market, I'd lean towards JT Miller. Betsky, any bets for you in Carolina, Vancouver?
No, you guys covered everything I really like here. Interesting game. I do lean Vancouver here too. This is always really notably a very tough road trip, even though I do think it's a little bit easier when you do this road trip early into the season when it's not wildly cold and dark the entire time you're on it. But I know that the longer teams play in Western Canada, it can really wear them down. So coming out with 2 big wins for Carolina, this feels like a great spot for Vancouver to kind of have that bounce back to me. And yeah, I think you're getting really nice value on all the big guys in Vancouver, and it is very much a 2-line team. The Quinn Hughes shots looks really interesting too. His volume is extremely high right now. I think he's hit 4 straight or 3 straight. And again, you're going to get really nice value on it because it's against Carolina. And, he's one of those guys that doesn't necessarily matter. Once he gets going, he can go for real long periods of just being in a groove with a shot. So, I think this game could end up being a very profitable one, even though it's kind of feels scary to go heavy into it.
You mentioned that road trip. I mean, this is Carolina's 6th game, last road game of this 6-game road trip.
Wow.
So that's always kind of a bad spot to be in as well. They return home 2 nights from now to face the Bruins, and then they're there at home for a while.
Spot.
But it's
that's the spot I don't want to touch them. If anything, They may empty the tank tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle, still at Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Edmonton, Calgary, Seattle. And they've played well so far this road trip. They've taken points in 4 or 5 of those games. So
yeah.
At this point, if they lose tonight, it's still a successful road trip. It's not like they've gotten killed so far.
I may jump on Vancouver right now.
Yeah. All right. I did forget one of the games going back to the 9 p.m. slate. Excuse me here. We got Chicago at Colorado. Colorado minus 192. Total set at 6.5. Juice the under at minus 115. The goaltenders were not confirmed earlier, but they are now. Georgiev gets the nod and Peter Mrazek gets the nod. I had in my article if Mrazek starts, if Georgiev starts, we're going over.
They're never going to start.
I think it's a great spot. Colorado back to back. Chicago has been scoring and just giving up a ton of goals. 6.5 minus 105. I will lay that number all day between these two teams. Franco, any looks for you in Chicago, Colorado?
Yeah, I have to go back to Ross Colton. Unfortunately, the books kind of got wise to it, I guess, today. Yesterday, everything was bettable. Today, not so much. Given the matchup, I guess it's not that surprised. You can parlay Rantanen point and Colton point to get minus 115, which I think is fantastic. Rantanen's point, he has 15 and 10 games played against Chicago, including 13 assists. So I don't know what his assist prop is. Let me check it out real quick while I'm talking, but that might be another look to go as a solo play as well. I don't mind going up to 4 shots on goal for Colton as well. It seems like he's just firing a ton. Obviously, his 2.5 would have to be a parlay piece at this point. So, yeah, Rantanen's assist is minus 188, so you can't even do that straight. Colton's goal on another book is plus 200, so definitely going to grab that value there. It's not as good on DK, unfortunately, but I'm just going to keep riding that. And I think it's not an ideal situation for Colorado being on a back-to-back, but they just feel like an absolute wagon right now with how they're playing offensively. And Mrazek has shown a little bit better than Soderblom, I guess. If I wanted to back a goalie, that would be the one I would want if I was backing Chicago. But I mean, there's no way in hell I'm going to take the Blackhawks, especially in Colorado.
Yeah, Mrazek 3-3-6 in his last 3 starts. Betsky, any looks for you in this one?
No, I mean, kind of like that Colton angle too. I'm a little worried to be the guy who ruins the train, though. But I've been able to ride the shots a little bit here and had some goal props that were in parlays that didn't end up hitting. But yeah, I don't know. It's really tempting to just keep on going with it, though. I mean, who's Nishushkin anyways, right?
Yeah, I mean, Ross Colton has fed families to start the season. If you've just been taking his shots on goal prop and even his point prop to start the year, he's been absolutely unbelievable, and the books finally caught up. So it's bound to happen, but that's how it goes. All right, last game of the night, we got Calgary traveling to Vegas. Vegas is minus 162 on the money line. Total set at 6.5. Juice the under at minus 112. Betsky, I'm going to throw it right back to you. Any looks in this one?
Stone assist looks nice. He's just been on a tear.
Leads the league in points.
Yeah. So that's like minus 20 or 120. I have no problem with just going to that again. Same as Eichel assists, but I feel like Eichel's maybe going to be turning towards shooting and becoming more of a goal scorer again. The one here that there's some value on, Hanifin shots too. So this is only going to be the second time he plays against Calgary. First time he had 5 attempts, 2 shots. Calgary is actually kind of leaky. 2 defensemen. 1.5 is a really nice parlay piece at minus 144. But you can kind of ladder him up to 3 to complete the trifecta of revenge tonight.
Love triangle, triangle revenge.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those tonight.
Yes. Is Huberdeau at 499 assists?
I feel like we ask this every show.
Yeah.
I don't think he got there. I'm pretty sure he scored a goal the one game. So he's just screwing with us. He's just gonna record 2 points one of these nights, and we're just not gonna catch him.
But yeah, the Calgary side, I don't know if somebody's got a hot take on it or feels like they're riding the waves correctly. Let me know, because I feel like I'm the one that's jumping on guys when they miss instead of when they're hitting. But
Yeah,
you could name off the top 6 again, and all those guys, top 9 again on this team, and all of them look worthy of a shot or point prop. Just trying to figure out the right one's the hard part. And he is at 498 assists.
Okay, so still 2 more.
Yep.
Okay. Backlund does have some pretty incredible history against Vegas, looking at that 2.5 shots on goal mark. He's hitting 7 of his last 8, but I did not touch that tonight. I just don't like his recent history. The one guy
he's not getting the same minutes.
No, the one guy I did take was Ivan Barbashev, over 1.5 shots on goal, minus 135. He's hitting 7 of his last 8, 4 of his last 4 versus Calgary, and 6 of his last 6 at home. I like that price, and his attempts have been there as well. It's not just a standard 2 or 3 where he has a high shooting percentage on net. He's kind of getting up there as well in attempts. So that's the one bet I did have in this game. Franco, who are you looking at in Calgary, Vegas?
So I'm probably going to go to that Hannafin prop as well. His point prop is available at plus 135, which looks really good. He does have 2 assists in his last 3 games, so kind of picking it up a little bit. I feel like Vegas has just been scoring so much recently, and they're getting it from all up and down the lineup, which is pretty crazy to see. Stone and Eichel point parlay is minus 135. I don't mind that as well.
Wow.
It just feels stupid free. I get minus 135. A lot of people don't like laying numbers like that, but I mean, come on.
When's the last time it hasn't hit?
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It feels like a good look. The other guy I have circled is Dorofeyev, plus 100 for a point. Red hot right now. 5 points in his last 3, 2 goals, 3 assists, averaging 5 shots on goal per game across that stretch. So I don't even mind looking at his shots as well as a potential angle. That's at plus 100 as well for 3. So lots of good angles on the Vegas side, feels like, and it feels like a Vegas smash spot, given all that and kind of what they've been playing like. But again, Calgary's been kind of surprising to start the year, so you never know when you're going to get bitten by it, I guess, where Vegas might get shut down a little bit. But this feels like a game that has goals, and I would more want to be on that Vegas side when all said and done.
Yes, I wanted to bring up this comment too from Parker, the under better. He parlayed Zari, Coleman, and Backlund all under half a point at plus 380. They are all on that second line. I don't hate it, but the only concern is when you look at Vegas's last few games, they gave up 3 to the Sharks, 4 to the Senators, 4 to Florida, 4 to Tampa Bay, 4 to Washington. They aren't as good defensively as they have been in years past. And especially at this, right? Like Zari's been pretty good to start the year. Coleman and Backlund, not so much. But it is an interesting kind of angle if you are just taking – I know people stack lines, especially with point props. But this is also another way to kind of approach it. I didn't know if you guys had any thoughts on this.
I mean, the value is great. Getting plus 380 on it feels really nice, considering, they're so tied together. It's the same argument you can make for going with an over, where you're saying, I like Stone and Eichel, so parlay the 2 of them and you get better number. But my only pause is just the fact that Backlund and Coleman both have a very good history against them. Backlund 13 points in 11 games played, Coleman 10 points in 11 games played against Vegas. So this just doesn't feel like the right type of situation given that like past history. And like you said, I mean, they gave up a ton of goals to Sens. It felt like the Senators were scoring in bunches in that game. Obviously, it stopped eventually, but they haven't been as defensively stout, and they haven't been getting the goaltending this year to start the season. I think they almost feel like Colorado a couple of years ago, where it was like they can just outscore teams, and that's how they're winning, as opposed to their previous style of shutting teams down. So I don't know if this is particularly the team I would want to be doing that, but I like the idea of that.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys want to put together our parlay of the night now, and then we can touch on the later slate in a little bit?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had your looks all set to go. If you do, let me know, and I will start to put this together. Rodriguez over 1.5 shots on goal. Franco, I'm not sure if you're going to use that. That's on DraftKings at what, minus 166. Feels like a decent price for that, especially just given his history against them.
If you want to take that, that's fine, and I'll do Colton over 2.5 shots.
Okay.
You know, I'm gonna reach low here, and I'm gonna go Quinn Hughes shots.
Okay. Quinn Hughes over what, 2.5?
Yeah.
At even money. All right. So that's Evan Rodriguez over 1.5 shots on goal. Ross Colton over 2.5 shots on goal. And Quinn Hughes over 2.5 shots on goal. That gets you to plus 403 on DraftKings. New customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 using promo code THPN. We will post that parlay in a little bit, but I like it. Plus 403. Not bad odds for that. Quickly touching on the games for tomorrow, we have a 7-game slate: Minnesota versus Pittsburgh, Seattle, Montreal, Anaheim, New York, Philly, Boston, St. Louis, Ottawa, Rangers, Caps, and LA, San Jose. San Jose is going to be on that back-to-back, which is going to be a spot where, do you really want to back the Kings props? No, exactly. It's not a spot to back the Kings, I would say.
Maybe Byfield point.
Yeah. Wow. That's brutal. Pickless, rare love.
Whoops.
All right. Any of these games stick out to you guys that you're looking at kind of backing, whether a side or total?
Oh boy. Kind of like Montreal again. Feels like a good spot for them.
Franco, you got to get a jersey at this point. Anytime Montreal is a home dog, Franco's
I know,
all over
man.
them.
Why are they a home dog? Why?
I don't know.
Yeah,
me it every time.
I may go.
I don't hate that at all.
Caulfield shots there too.
Yeah.
Pasta against Philly. He just.
Oh yeah.
1 goal, 2 goal, 3 goal, 4 shots, all of it, like everything you want. 2 points, just bet all of it.
Red.
He just like absolutely kills Philly. They're like just letting up goals in bunches. I mean, I don't even care who's in net at this point. It's just brutal. So that's a great spot right there for sure.
Anaheim gives up the most shots on goal to forwards. I know Lee and Nelson have been red hot as of late, so that's probably going to be an angle you want to look at. Noah Dobson's been better as well. But Anaheim gives up, I think, the 11th most shots on goal to defensemen. So I'd maybe kind of transition and look at the forward group there. That's all I had in that one. Like you said, Caulfield props have been fantastic. Rangers props, I don't know. They're kind of historically tight games, I feel like, between them and the Caps. Unless I'm just remembering that wrong.
I'm not. No.
Yeah.
I'll double check some of the make sure Kreider doesn't have some insane history. Oh, it's not even.
Yeah, I could have sworn there was somebody that had crazy history. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, Zibanejad's right around 3 shots on goal per game. If you're gonna trust him, like the least trustworthy shooter ever. Nothing crazy. For some reason, I could it popped in my mind as if something was there, but I'm not seeing it when I'm looking at it right now. So,
yeah, New York's historically dominated that matchup. They are minus 145 on the money line, and they've won 8 of their last 10 versus the Caps.
Wow. Brady is somebody I will circle back at home. He's always great for shots at home. Plays against his dad's former team. And
that
where
feels
he's
like
from,
an over.
So
that feels like a big over to me, just without thinking much about it.
Even if Allmark's in?
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of these games tomorrow are juiced.
He hasn't been good. No? None of the Ottawa goalies have a GSA, even or better. They're all negative. So, and that blue line is still brutal.
Yeah, that's true. I was looking at the 60-minute line in some of these games. It's a larger money line. The Islanders minus 150 to win at reg versus Anaheim. I don't hate it, but again, kind of getting into that price range, a little steep for me. All right, before we sign off here, any last looks for tomorrow?
No, I think we kind of covered most of them. We'll dig more into it tomorrow, but Pasta's the main one for me tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
You'll see see a ton of pasta props coming from me.
Yep.
Oh, Eriksson Ek. I don't know if his history is the best against Pittsburgh, but he's been really reliable lately for 3 shots at like a bettable price, which is very rare. He's usually minus 160 or worse for 3, and then usually will get bumped to 3.5 depending on the lineup. Maybe at 3.5 tomorrow. May not matter because Pittsburgh is just taking it to the teeth right now with shots.
Yeah. All right, before we sign off, one last recap of our parlay of the night. We have Evan Rodriguez over 1.5 shots on goal, Ross Colton over 2.5 shots on goal, and then Quinn Hughes over 2.5 shots on goal as well. That's plus 403 at DraftKings. Use promo code THPN if you are going to bet that. Want to thank everyone for listening today, especially our sponsors, Game Time and DraftKings. Next time we'll go in live is Wednesday at 5:30, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And again, one last time, we appreciate Evan for tuning in tonight, and we will talk to you guys